Good morning, students. In today's class, we'll be getting ourselves introduced to the second radix 2 FFT algorithm, that is decimation in frequency fast Fourier transformation. In short, it is abbreviated as GIF FFT algorithm. So today we shall be getting ourselves well, learning to this concept of GIF FFT algorithm. I hope the screen is visible to all of you. Yes. See, this algorithm is very much similar to your DIT FFT algorithm. If you could just compare the two algorithms, in case of DIT FFT algorithm, the decimation process was carried out in time domain. If you guys can just recollect the DIT FFT derivation, we just took an equation for the IDFT, that is an equation for x of n in terms of x of k. We went on with derivation by dividing the given time domain sequence into its respective even and odd sequences. And finally, we arrived at a 2-point DFT computation at the frequency end. Just similar to that, in case of decimation in frequency FFT algorithm, the only change is the decimation process is carried out in the frequency domain. In the frequency domain. It so happens that here, instead of dividing the time domain sequence into its corresponding even and odd counterparts, instead we look at dividing the frequency samples into the corresponding even and odd counterpart. So since there is a need for me to divide the frequency samples, the derivation has to start from the equation for the DFT computation. Before that, also note that even in this case, when we are going to compute the endpoint DFT, the value of n should be always chosen to be as the power of 2 itself, the power of 2 itself. To begin with, just consider the equation for DFT. This is how the equation goes as x of k is equal to summation small n varying from 0 to n minus 1. X of n multiplied by its Rudel factor. Note that the range of k is from 0 to n minus 1. As I told earlier, what is the point in we proceeding with this derivation? To get the even and the odd counterpart of the frequency samples x of k. That's the main aim of a derivation. To continue further, yes, let me just, yes, I hope the screen is visible now. Yes. Now to begin with, the first step is that whatever was the entire range of small n, what is the range of n? N was varying from 0 to n minus 1. I'm trying to break or split the entire range into two different parts. In the first summation, the index n is set to vary from 0 to n by 2 minus 1. And in the second case, the next value after n by 2 minus 1 is what? N by 2 minus 1 plus 1. That is n by 2. Starting from n by 2 till the last value n minus 1 is the range of the second summation. The terms within the summation is very much similar as to the previous equation. In the next step, to get the results in the desired format, I introduce a new variable called as r. What is r given as? N minus n by 2. That is just what? In the second summation, if you could look at the indices value of n, okay? What is the value of n? N by 2, okay? To introduce a variable r, I assume that r is equal to n minus n by 2. Don't meddle with the first summation. The first summation is retained as it is. Coming back to the second summation, when the value of r is equal to n minus n by 2, as the value of small n tends to n by 2, the value of small r tends to 0. Similarly, as the value of small n tends to n by, it's not n by 2, it's n minus 1. As the value of n tends to n minus 1, n minus n by 2 is nothing but n by 2, and minus 1 still retains. That is why the upper value gets changed to n by 2 minus 1. I'll repeat, n minus 1 minus n by 2, n minus n by 2 is n by 2 minus 1 as it is. And within the summation also, replace n by what? By this equation, r plus n by 2. A term comes over here. Even over here, wherever small n is there, replace small n by r plus n by 2. Now, in the above equation, if you could want to know what is R? R is just a summation variable or a summation index variable. So it has got no other significance. So the variable can be replaced by any variable of your choice. Accordingly, what I do is I replace the dummy variable R by my convenient variable, what is called as n. Accordingly, replacing R by n, the above equation can be rewritten as, look at the first summation, no change, all the terms are retained as it is. Coming back to the second summation, wherever R is there, replace R by n, n varying from 0 to n by 2 minus 1, x of n plus n by 2, wn to the power of k, in the place of R, again I've got n plus n by 2 as it is. So now what happens to the above equation? If you could just what consider the second summation, if you could just open the bracket of the Gödel factor, I get a term called as w to base n k multiplied by n by 2. And this particular term is not carrying the summation tag small n. Hence, it can be treated as a constant. That is why I pulled the term wn, w to base n, k times n by 2 outside. And if you could look at the two terms of the RHS, both the two terms are having the same summation indices range. Hence, both the terms are being captured under one summation tag. In the first term, as it is x of n into what? W to base n, k to the power of n, plus, as I told you, this is a constant term. The term remaining else is x multiplied by n plus n by 2, and with respect to Gödel factor term, that is what? W to base n, k times n. Again, we know that by the very concept of Gödel factor, w to base n, k times n by 2 is nothing but equal to minus 1 whole to the power of k. Because we know that w to base n to the power of n is 1. But whereas w to base n to the power of n by 2 is always equal to minus 1. Because of this presence of k, it is equal to minus 1 raised to the power of k. Accordingly, the above equation gets changed into x of k, the summation term as it is x of n, x of n. Both the first term and second term is having the common Gödel factor term, hence it is being pulled out. The term w to base n to the power k n by 2 is equal to minus 1 to the power of k, and the second term as it is. First term, the value of the constant, the second term, both the terms multiplied by the Gödel factor term. Now, as I said earlier, the goal of the derivation is to obtain the even and the odd terms of the frequency samples x of k. So if I have to obtain the even and the odd terms of x of k, since I'm using a variable x of k, what is my frequency origin term over here? K. So accordingly, I should choose a suitable value of k which results me in even terms separately and odd terms separately. So to begin with, for if I have to extract only the even terms from the above equation, I suitably choose the value of capital K as to be equal to what? 2 times R. Because any number multiplied by 2 will give me a value of even terms only. And please note the range of R. What is the range of R over here? because the upper summation tag in the above case is from n by 2 minus 1, that is the last value. Accordingly, the value or the range of r will run from 0 to n by 2 minus 1. Accordingly, the above equation gets modified into this equation for even terms of the frequency samples. That is what? Where k is being replaced by 2r, summation term as it is, x of n as it is. Again, what's the value of k? 2 times of r. This term as it is, again replace k by 2r. Note that minus 1 raised to the power of 2 times something will always yield me a positive value. So this whole term gets reduced to 1. Summation tag as it is, x of n as it is. This term turns out to be positive 1. Hence it is plus the remaining terms as it is, x of n plus n by 2. And as I told earlier, any number in the exponential can be brought down to the base of n, to the denominator of n. Okay, because as I said earlier in a few classes, denominator of denominator can be pushed to the numerator. Hence, this numerator 2 becomes denominator of capital N. Hence, this is how the term looks like. This is the resulting equation for what? This is the resulting equation for the even indexed samples of x of k by assuming k as what value? 2 times of r. Similarly, to extract the odd values of k, in this case, I assume the value of k as to be equal to 2 times r plus 1. So for any value of r defined, the value of k will always yield me an odd value. Just similar to the previous case, even in this case, range of r would start from 0 and end till n by 2 minus 1 only. N by 2 minus 1 only. Accordingly, again, this equation will get modified to its odd frequency samples as what I must do? Wherever k is there, replace k by the term 2 times r plus 1. Accordingly, x of k, the value of k is what? 2 times r plus 1. The summation indices as it is, x of n plus minus 1 to the power of k I had. What's the value of k? 2 times of r plus 1. The term x of n plus n by 2 as it is, wn to the power of n times k I had. Again, that value of k is replaced by what? 2 times r plus 1. So now what happens to the above equation? Summation term as it is, x of n as it is. Unlike the previous case here, minus 1 raised to the power of 2 times r only is positive value. 2 times r plus 1, again since it is going to yield me an odd value, minus 1 raised to the power of any odd value will give me a negative value of unity only. Hence, here comes the minus sign. X of n plus n by 2 as it is. And please note that over here, there are two terms as such. Wn to the power of n times 2r, that is this term, plus wn to the power of small n into 1 is wn to the power of n. Okay, and please note that here as such they have done a small mistake. Okay, they have done no, it's fine, it's fine, because this term is common to both the first term as well as the second term. No issues, it's right. So this is what? This is the resulting equation for the odd frequency samples of x of k. Now, in time domain, I define or generalize the equation for even term and odd term by using two new variables E of n and O of n. E of n represents the even index samples of x of n. O of n represents the odd indexed values of n. Accordingly, see, please note that from what was this? See, this was the equation what I obtained for what? Even index samples. So inside the summation, inside the bracket, what I've got? The equation in time domain. And I assume that this represents my even index samples in time domain. That is what? Abbreviated by E of n. What is E of n? X of n plus x times of n plus n by 2, n by 2. Next, coming to the odd index samples. What basically I want? I want what? The odd index representation in time domain. Please note that unlike the previous term for every index, there is one extra term. What is the term? W to base n to the power of small n. Accordingly, see, this is how we write. The odd index representation in time domain is given by x of n minus x of n plus n by 2, and this is an extra tag, that is what? W to base n to the power of n, to the power of n. Now, with this even and odd representation of time index values, the equation for the even indexed frequency samples and odd index frequency samples can be rewritten in terms of E of n and O of n as follows. Is the first equation for the even index frequency samples where the value of k is 2r. What have I done? The term within the square bracket is replaced by the even index sample E of n multiplied by its corresponding Woodall factor. What is the range of n? Varying from 0 to n by 2 minus 1. Similarly, the equation for the odd index frequency samples where the value of k is 1, 2 times r plus 1 is replaced by the above equation where the term within the bracket is replaced by the odd indexed sample in time domain, that is O of n. Please note that this O of n is also taking into consideration this Woodall factor W to base n to the power of small n multiplied by its corresponding Woodall factor. The range of R remains the same. So by this is the step as such where I've divided the frequency samples x of k into its corresponding even indexed and odd indexed counterpart. Before we could get on to the signal flow diagram till this particular stage, unlike DIT FFT algorithm, whatever was the basic computational structure which was referred to as the butterfly takes this kind of representation in case of DIF FFT algorithm. That is, a and B represents the two inputs, okay? And this factor has to be multiplied by minus 1, and this Woodall factor is being what represented by W to base n to the power of R. Accordingly, in the upper row, the output is the signal A plus the signal B as it is. But whereas in the latter row, the value of the output is this value of A should be added with this counterpart of Woodall factor. But please note that this particular what Woodall factor is multiplied to what term is being multiplied to both the net value of A as well as B. See, at this point of time, what is the output? It is A times minus B. A minus B. A plus B, since B is what multiplied by minus 1, at this point of time, the resulting output is what? A minus B. That A minus B has to be multiplied by the Woodall factor term W to base n to the power of R. Accordingly, the resulting output is what? A minus B times W to base n to the power of R. Generally, students go wrong in the butterfly structure. So please, in the exam, read the question carefully. If it is DIT FFT algorithm, use the corresponding butterfly structure. If it is DIF FFT algorithm computation, use this butterfly structure. The two butterfly structures are not the same. They are different with respect to the output end. Please keep that in mind. So, just similar to your DIT algorithm, here also in case of DIF FFT algorithm, each of the so obtained n by 2 point transform is further decomposed to two n by 4 point transforms. Again, I take what each of those n by 4 transforms and divide them into what the corresponding two n by 8 point transforms. What's the next stage? Divide n by 8 to n by 16. Then what? N by 32 and so on. We'll have so many number of stages provided what the value of n is too high. If the value of n is just plain 8, How many stages will have? 3 stages, because log n to base 2 is 3. If the value of n is 16, how many stages will have? It's basically what? 4 stages. Log n to base 2 will give me the value of 4, and so on. Is it clear? So this is the signal flow diagram after the first stage of computation. And point to be noted over here is, unlike the case of DIT FFT algorithm, here the input samples are not in the bit reversed order. But note that the input samples are in the regular order. The given time domain input samples should be returned in the regular order from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 only. But here at the end, after all the stages, whenever you are collecting a frequency samples output, note that the frequency samples output are in the bit reversed order. Bit reversed order. Okay, so that is what you people must keep in mind. Okay, the input samples are in the regular order, but whereas the output samples will be in the bit reversed order. This is the signal flow diagram. This is the signal flow diagram at this stage of computation. So what we are doing, we are basically, how many butterfly structures are there? 4 butterfly structures. If you could compare this with the DIT FFT algorithm, how is to do in DIT FFT algorithm? First 2-stage butterfly, okay, two inputs. Butterfly structure limited to two what's that? Consecutive inputs, then alternative, then in a group of 4. Here it is just the reverse. Okay, whatever last stage was there, this becomes the first stage. The intermediate stage remains. The first and the last stage gets reversed. So these are the input samples in time domain. The corresponding intermediate frequency samples, where I'm going to get 4-point DFT version for its even index samples, and the 4-point DFT for its corresponding odd index samples. Please note that the Pudel factors are there only for the lower terms, because by the butterfly structure, the upper terms output do not carry the Pudel factor term. Only the output of the butterfly in the lower arm only will be having this Pudel factor. And also please take care of this -1. The -1 multiplier has to be added to the input, and it has to be, sorry, the -1 term has to be multiplied to the bottom input, and that result has to be added to the other input, and the whole of the term should be multiplied by the Pudel factor term. Say for example, in this case, what is x of 0? What is x of 0 is, for example, in this case, x of 0, we're considering this as what? Okay, well, this is x of 0 is what? Whatever is the value of x of 0 plus what? Whatever was this value, what is that? Plus x of 4. X of 0 plus x of 4 is plain x of 0. But if you could consider x of 1, it is what? X of 0 minus x of 4. The whole thing multiplied by w to base n to the power of 0. As long as it is an 8-point DFT, the value of capital N is 8. So the upper term x of 0, x of 4, x of 2, x of 6 is just what? The addition of the respective inputs only. But whereas x of 1, x of 5, x of 3 and x of 7 will have, along with the inputs, the Pudel factor term also. Moving ahead, I'll show you the complete structure. Just hold on. Yes. Yes, now see. Okay. One more round of magnification. Okay. Yes. See, this is the complete flow diagram for an 8-point DIF FFT structure. Just keep this in your mind, and also keep the DIT FFT structure also in your mind side to side, and just compare, isn't it? What I had there in DIT FFT algorithm, first we tried this, realize this this kind of result, two consecutive inputs butterfly structures at the input end. This stage is common, whether it's here or there. And in the last stage, I used to write this kind of butterfly structure. Here it is just the inverse. The last stage becomes the first stage, intermediate remains the same, and the first stage becomes the last stage. Note that The input samples are in the same order, the correct order, but whereas the output samples are in the bit reversed order. What order? So when I say it's X, it is capital X, 0, 4, 2, 6. Even indexed, then it's got odd index, 1, 5, 3, 7, 1, 5, 3, 7. And as long as it is in 8-point DFT, it's what? W8 to the power of 0, W8 to the power of 1, W8 to the power of 2, W8 to the power of 3, so on. It's what? W4 to the power, W8 to the power of 0 and W8 to the power of 2. Or else it can be written as what? W4 n by 2 is what? 8 by 2 is 4. W4 to the power of 0 and W4 to the power of 1. Just to make things computations much more easier by writing all the pretty factors in terms of the common base 8 only. 8 only, and do not forget about this minus 1. If you forget this minus 1, the whole answer will be wrong, because the last set of inputs of each butterfly has to be multiplied by the Twiddle factor term. This is the butterfly structure. And the observations to be made from the butterfly structure is the input should be in the normal order, whereas the output will be always in the bit reversed order, as I already told you. And this is how the butterfly structure looks like. A and B are the inputs, and in the outputs, the upper arm is just A plus B. But whereas in the lower arm, the value of A has to be added with negative counterpart of B, and the whole stuff has to be multiplied by the 3 factor W to base n to the power of R to the power of R, and the other results are the same, just similar to the result, just similar to the previous case. In this case also, the number of complex multiplications is equal to n divided by 2 log n to base 2. Number of complex multiplications, very much similar to your DIT FFT algorithm. And when taking into considerations the number of complex multiplications, the number of complex multiplications still results the same. That is equal to n times log n to base 2. And similar to the other feature, the total number of butterflies in each stage is always equal to n by 2. This property also holds good. Next, the number of stages is always equal to log n to base 2. This property also holds good. And what else we learned there? Butterfly structure we have already introduced. And what is that? The concept of Cooley 2K algorithm also holds good over here. The same objective also holds good over here. And the property of in-place computation. That is, whenever I'm going to use two sets of input to get the two sets of corresponding output. Once computation is being done, at what earlier place the two inputs were stored, the same two places are being once again reused to store the new set of outputs. Instead of rather looking at a new memory location, the same old memory location at where the two inputs were stored, the same location is being used to store the new set of outputs, because once the computation has been done, there is no importance to the earlier two inputs. That is why I'm also trying to reduce the storage requirements. So all the properties what are holding good for DIT FFT algorithm, all the properties do also hold good for GIF FFT algorithm. In place computation, okay, Cooley-Tukey algorithm, the property of symmetry, the property of periodicity, and the number of complex multiplications equal to what? N by 2 log n to base 2. The number of complex additions equal to n times log n to base 2. Number of butterflies is equal to n by 2, and the number of stages is again computed as log n to base 2. Is it clear? Now, I've told all this concept at least twice or thrice. All these questions, in comparison with the two algorithms, will be initially asked in Monday's class, and only then we should proceed for numericals. So do learn all these properties, learn the derivation once and come. So Monday we can solve two problems based on DIF FFT algorithm. Okay, any doubts you can always come back and ask me. Okay, thank you all. Have a great day.